Ahsoka is finally here. 2 episodes in. Let's find out my thoughts as a producer and as a writer and as a Star Wars fan. Find out right now. Let's talk about Ahsoka. All right. A little bit about me. So I grew up with Star Wars. I saw the first movie in the theater. I'm dating myself. Loved it. Got all the toys. It exploded my imagination. It's what made me want to become a filmmaker and a comic book writer. And sci-fi is my favorite genre. So Star Wars had a huge toll on my life. And now to see what it's become hasn't been the best portion of my life. So along with a lot of other people that have been very frustrated. So Clone Wars, I even like the Clone Wars. I know everybody hates on the Clone Wars movie that came out, the animated movie. I didn't hate it. I think it was great, but I didn't hate it. And then when the Clone Wars series came out, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I know it was basically made for kids, but it delved me back into the world, and I loved it. And then Rebels came out, and I loved that just as much, because I got into Ahsoka. I even liked Anakin because I hated him in the prequels completely. In fact, I'm not a prequel liker. I'm not a fan of the prequels at all. I like certain scenes here and there, but overall, I do not like the prequels. And then the sequels, of course, nobody likes them. So there's a very, very small percentage of people that like and adhere to the sequels. So for me, the sequels were, Clone Wars and Rebels. And Hera was my favorite character in Rebels. So I was very excited to see, and as you can see behind me, I'm a fan of Ahsoka. So Rosario Dawson, when I saw her in The Mandalorian, first of all, I do not like the costume, and I was really, really hoping they were going to change the costume. The baggy samurai thing does not work for me. I much prefer the plates and stuff like that with the pants, like it is behind me, or even the skirt, like she had in Clone Wars. She does have the little diamond things on her arm, but that's about the extent of it. And believe me, I know how much time even to paint someone takes in the chair. When I did Star Trek Renegades, we had an Andorian, and they started painting her all up. They said it's going to take another couple hours to paint her up. I went to wardrobe. I got a jacket and gloves, and I said, put these on. I just now took off an hour of your work. And it looked great. It was fine. So here the same thing. She's only really painting her face and her hands because she has the big thing on, the cloak, and then they paint her back and stuff like that, and her arms, not even her arms all the way down. They just paint the strip, to do when she takes the cloak off. But the baggy pants just don't work for me at all. So I want to get into it. I am going to do some spoilers here, but overall, I want to talk about the first episode only, and then I'm going to talk about the second episode. So the first episode it's not even an introduction. We don't get the traditional crawl. So why we don't have the traditional crawl, we have these red letters instead, is beyond me. If you're going to do that, you might as well do the traditional crawl, just to get everybody excited. And I'm going to get into the music after, but that's Star Wars. You do the traditional crawl, you have the Star Wars music playing underneath, everybody gets excited, and that sets the tone for the entire show. Instead, we have this red lettering, giving very little backstory. So I watched a whole bunch of other reviews before I did my own, and everybody said pretty much the same thing. If you didn't see Rebels and Clone Wars, you're lost. And of course, I'm not coming from that perspective, but I can definitely see that where we're not really setting anything up. And some of the things that were set up in Clone Wars and especially Rebels just disappear. Like that Star Wars girl brought up the fact that Hera has a child, but never mentioned here. Her relationship with Kanan, never mentioned. So they're like dropping out backstory for no reason. So let's go into plot. So the whole plot here is that Ahsoka is trying to find, because I guess at the end of, I got to rewatch it now, the end of Rebels, Thrawn and Ezra Bridger were, I guess, catapulted into another galaxy. So they're together somewhere. If not, then one has killed the other. They have no idea, since it's been years, right? It's been years. And they have no idea who's alive and who's not, but they do know, like Ahsoka knows that the witch of Dathomir, Morgan Elsbeth, which, I think she was in Mandalorian. So that was the bout that she had with Mandalorian during Mandalorian. So she's been captured now, and these dark Jedi break her out. So they're not really Sith. That's why they don't have red lightsabers, I guess. They're just dark Jedi. And that's one of the high points of the acting is Race, which not going to get him anymore because, of course, he had an untimely passing. But, we have Ray Stevenson, who played one of the original Punishers as well, and he was also in Thor. And, he did probably one of the best acting jobs in the first, probably both episodes. Again, I'll talk about the second episode later. But he did a really good job. One of the few guys that, didn't come off with some of his lines really stiff or really awkward. So now we're going into the plot with him breaking her out of prison. And now we get the whole plot that there's a map. Really? Really? The best we can come up with after all these years of having Rebels gone and Mandalorian and all this stuff, the best we can come up with is another damn map. Come on. Give me a break. We just saw that with the last crappy movies. So we can't come up with... And a map... The map is old. First of all, who made this map? Where did this map ball suddenly come from? So these guys were jettisoned into space. Nobody knows where the hell they are in another universe, another galaxy. But yet there somehow is a map that suddenly appeared that's years old and probably doesn't lead to anything anymore, because that means that nobody moves. Come on. So I'm not buying this to begin with. It's lazy writing. I don't know what Filoni's even thinking at this point. But Filoni, if you're listening, this is lazy writing. So now we have another map. We have another MacGuffin that everybody's trying to get. Big deal. So Ahsoka goes to a planet where I guess Morgan told her to go. And I guess Morgan's thinking, well, it's going to be easier for her to get it with the traps that might be in there than me going to get it, and I'll just get it from her, which I guess makes sense. I guess she knew that she was going to get, knocked out eventually, or breaking out of prison eventually. So here's what I kind of liked in this scene. So Ahsoka needs to go underground. So she takes the lightsabers and she's not even holding them, and she digs them into the ground mentally and spins them, and she falls down. I got to give it to that one. That was good. So now we have this Indiana Jones type of thing. I was almost expecting to see Dr. Aphra show up, where she gets the ball, and when she comes back out, she's got to fight some droids. Okay. So now let's get into in this scene, okay, the fight scene is so bad. So bad. I don't understand how these guys have millions and millions of dollars, and I work with better swordsmen on low budget. The fight scenes are incredibly slow, and it's almost like they're waiting for, which makes no sense too, because it's a CGI robot, right? It's a droid. And she's almost waiting for the thing to come up, so she's swinging extremely slowly. When you watch it, you're just like, can we swing a little faster here? What's going on? Like, you compare that to The Witcher. Okay, everybody complains about The Witcher, but the sword fighting on there is, I mean, that's energetic stuff right there. Now compare that to what we just got with Ahsoka. There's no comparison. No comparison. So the fight choreographer needs to be fired immediately. Get him out of there. Get somebody else, because you're losing people watching that thing and laughing at it. I did. I laughed at it. I was like, I don't know what you guys were even thinking at this point. So she escapes, and she gets onto a ship, meaning Ahsoka, with Yu Tang, who is probably another one of the shining characters in this, and that's her droid. I don't know how Yu Tang, unless it's like U, like a letter U, and TNG or something like that. Normally there's numbers in there, so I don't know how that quite works for his designation. So anyway, she gets on a ship with him, and here is the first time in this scene when I see the real Ahsoka come out. So she jokes with him, and she play punches him and stuff like that. That's Ahsoka. Why is she played flat as a board every single time? And this is one of the reasons why I didn't think that she was well cast, because Rosario's playing her way too flat. I mean, this is her entire, and that's her entire thing for playing Ahsoka. Her hands behind her back and looking around. That's her entire thing. She plays it so stoic and so rigid. That's not Ahsoka. Ahsoka was always spunky. She liked to play jokes on people. She liked to joke around. I mean, and yeah, I guess because she becomes a Jedi, she likes to be a little bit more stoic, but to play the role of a Jedi. But come on, something's got to come out. How do you expect the audience to connect with someone? That's what made her so connectable in Clone Wars, was that she made these mistakes. She was jokey. She was in over her head, all this stuff. Plus, when it came to the fight scene, Ahsoka always, in the cartoons and the animated stuff, always held her blades backwards. She always fought like this. And I understand that would be awkward for Rosario Dawson to do, but that's what fight training is for! That's why you have fight training. So they just gave that up completely to do the front hold. See, it's frustrating. So we have a bad plot. We got some really bad acting in this thing, really bad acting, and then we have some good acting, and then we have some really bad fight scenes, and then we finally meet Sabine, right? So Sabine, well, first of all, we meet Hera. And I know that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is sleeping with Ewan McGregor. I think they're married. Either way, she slept herself to that role. She's not right for that role. I'm a big fan of Hera, and that is not Hera. Hera is a leader. She's sure of herself. She comes off that way, and without being bitchy. And then on top of that, Mary Elizabeth Winstead she's best when she's playing the wishy-washy roles. When she has to play strong, independent characters, and I hate those words, but when she has to play those roles like she did with Huntress, it doesn't work for her. It doesn't. I don't know why they keep casting her in these kinds of roles when she cannot pull them off. She is not a leader. Okay, she does not come off as sure of herself. She doesn't come off as, and nobody wants to see a girl boss. I mean, nobody wants to come off where, we're putting people down and stuff like that. But there's Princess Leia was perfect, saying, I'm in control. I love you all as a team, but here's my decree, and I'm right. And that's how Hera is. Hera listens to her team and stuff like that, but the last decision was always hers. And then her and Kanan constantly would go off to the side and discuss stuff, but Hera was the leader. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead cannot do it. She cannot do it. So I understand that she's sleeping with one of the big actors, but come on, man. Can we not get a better actor in there? And somebody that's more suited for that particular role. And that is not that actress. So anyway, so there's another negative for me right off the bat. So we finally meet Sabine. I think Sabine is well cast. So we have Natasha Liu Bordizzo, and when I had seen her in Day Shift with Jamie Foxx with the vampires on Netflix. And when I saw her then there, I'm like, wow, she's really good. And then she had some good fight scenes like that. So when they announced that she was being cast, I'm like, perfect. I'm all in with that. And again, she is one of the characters that can pull it. She can pull the character. She looks like the character. She may be a little young for the character at this point in the stage of her life, but let's just get past that. So we're good there. But the first time we're introduced to her, we have to have an Ariel Little Mermaid moment where they're like, "Hey, it's her! She's coming on! Where is she? She's not here. Ariel! Why do we have to borrow from other movies for no reason? Filoni, what are you thinking, man? Why? Why, when we introduce her, does she have to be a rebel? I'm a rebel. I'm not going to show up. I have to disrespect everybody because I'm my own girl. Come on, man. That's not Sabine. Sabine was bred to be a leader. At the end of Rebels, she was there. That's one of the reasons why breaking the Darksaber was a really bad idea. Her whole deal was that she was trying to wield a Darksaber. She was not a Jedi. She was not being trained as a Jedi. She was being trained to work with Bo-Katan and free her people. And, of course, they gave that whole thing to Bo-Katan without introducing Sabine, which is also a problem. They should have had Sabine in that whole thing. Then some of this would have made more sense. But she was never Force sensitive, so that's just stuck in here. So on the one side, if you haven't seen Rebels and Clone Wars, you're lost. But if you have seen it, you're like, what the hell? So he took pieces that he wanted and didn't take other pieces. So everybody's confused. So if you've seen it, you're confused. If you haven't seen it, you're confused. So now she's Force sensitive for whatever odd reason, and she was a Padawan. But yet, they have her cut her hair, which we're going to talk about season 2. I guess we'll talk about episode 2 later. But anyway, so she had been a Padawan to Ahsoka, and I guess she just stopped or whatever. And we have a fight scene at the end of this particular episode, and but the Loth Cat, I gotta say, the Loth Cat looks really good. I know we saw them in Mandalorian also, but this is the first time we've really seen, a pet, instead of just popping up in the background or in the foreground. So the Loth Cat looked really good. Because all of Rebels takes place a lot on Lothal. And at least we got to see some space stuff. We got to see them going to different planets. It wasn't like Boba Fett where we were stuck on Tatooine the whole damn time. Or with Kenobi. That was another piece of crap. So I think part of the problem here, a lot of the problem is Filoni. A lot of the problem. So we got a bad plot from him. We got some bad dialogue in certain pieces. And then on top of that, it was like nobody was watching him. It was like he was just going off on his own. And then on top of that, he cannot direct. Look at the directing of that first episode. It is bad. I blame a lot of the flat acting on him. He may be a great director for animation, but for live action, he don't got it. And I understand him throwing himself into the pot for the first episode. I understand that because if you're DGA and you direct one episode, you get residuals for the entire series for as long as it goes, even if you never direct another episode again. And that, I'm sure that's the reason they gave it to him. But I hope to God that he does not direct another episode. He's not a live action director. He's just not. He cannot pull performances out of people. Setting up shots is not good for him. I don't know who his DP was, but his DP didn't do him a damn bit of good. So, yeah, if only just stay away. Stay away from directing, man, and get some help with your writing. The effects overall are good. I can't really complain. It's a TV show, and I really can't complain about the effects. Are they great? Not really, but for a TV show, they're good. I'm not going to complain. Then again, I didn't even complain on The Flash, and that was crap. So, the music. I know this was the same guy that did all the music for Clone Wars, but the music sucks. It may work for I remember more Star Wars type themes for the TV show, for the animated series, than what I did here. And the music is horrible. He tried to almost go Mandalorian with it, with the woo, doo doo doo, woo. It doesn't work. Just give us traditional Star Wars music. I don't understand. They have the rights to Star Wars. They have the rights to all the themes. Use them. I didn't hear one Star Wars theme the entire hour. Not anything that was even close or identifiable as a Star Wars theme at all. What are they thinking? Who do they think this is going for? Non-Star Wars fans? I don't know. So the effects, fight choreography, I think I got through everything there. The acting, yeah. So there's only like 3 actors that I really liked out of this thing. Even the beginning captain, he was bad. He was bad. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, get her out of there, man. Get her out of there. And I know Rosario Dawson can do Ahsoka. You just have to direct her to say this is how you should be acting and not just stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Anyway, yeah, so, and then we end with, and this is a spoiler, but so if you haven't watched it, you probably want to shut me off, but before you do, make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, baby! I always forget to pull that out. I get so involved with talking about the show that I forget to tell everybody till the end. So anyway, so the end is a fight scene. Again, a very, very bad fight scene. In fact, Sabine must have learned nothing about being a Jedi. Because a Jedi is never the first one to ignite their lightsaber. They're never the first ones to attack. Because that is the dark side. And guess what she does? She's the first one to ignite her lightsaber. And she's the first one to go, ah! What the hell was that? It was so, and I understand they wanted it to be a little sloppy because she was out of practice or whatever, but she must have learned zero. I don't think she ever came to class once. You know, she was probably on her phone the entire time. And I heard some other people complain about the music while she was riding. But again, that whole scene should have just been thrown out because it did nothing for the character besides piss you off about her. The music really didn't bother me. It's just like that whole scene bothered me more than the music. So the scene just did not belong in Star Wars. It just didn't belong there. So it's with Sabine, the Ariel. Oh, where is she? Where is she? She missed the thing. I'm leaving. For what reason? I just want to piss everybody off. That's my whole reason for being. Come on, man. Come on. All right, well, that's the end of season 1. And, of course, at the end, and this is what I was bringing up to, is that she gets stabbed. She's a main character. You know she's not going to die, but they stabbed her right through the back. Why? Why? So let's go into the next episode. In the next episode of Ahsoka, my review of Ahsoka. But that's it for right now. That's my thoughts. And let me know what you guys think, because I want to hear if I'm wrong, if I'm just way over the top on this stuff. Was there something I missed in Rebels that explained everything away? But I don't think so. Also, let me give myself a little plug here and you can read my stuff and tell me, that I'm not a good writer. Although so far with my reviews, that you'd be in the minority. But Tales of Ravenor, The Iron Witch. I also have my own sci-fi series called Destiny Aurora. I have a 4-book series and a graphic novel and a board game and an RPG. And then my Vampire Mob in the 50s, Lords of LA, which I will be coming out soon with issue 2, which this is a double-sized issue, so this is 48 pages. So it's actually issue 1 and 2, and the next issue will actually be 3 and 4. But yeah, again, big Ahsoka fan, and of course you can see I got a signed Timothy Zahn behind me with the Thrawn stuff. Yeah, I have lightsabers all over the place. Yeah, Star Wars was my jam now. And when you read Destiny Aurora, you'll see it. But anyway, that's it for me. In fact, I even have, if you look behind me, I even have a dark Rey behind me. So. Because I have ideas for what they should have done with that, and they didn't do it. But anyway, that's me. All right, so you're going to see some of my other videos pop up. I think they're on this side. My state. This is why camera right and camera left. I'm always behind the camera. My camera is always backwards. But anyway, make sure you check out my other videos, and remember to like and subscribe, share. Let me grow my channel. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you for watching, and let's wait for, I'm going to do episode 2 as well. All right, thanks.